Kai is back on To Kukyu. This time, the Chinese entertainment world is shaking again. After months of rumors, speculation, and a suffocating silence, the one name that has been at the center of the storm, Xiao Zhan, has finally spoken out. But it wasn't just a simple clarification. It wasn't just a response to appease the public. What he said felt like a confession, like a page of his heart opening for the world to see the wounds and honesty hidden behind a smile. They say silence is louder than words. But that night, when Xiao Zhan wrote his first sentence on his personal account, the world paused. One post, one simple sentence, yet enough to set the internet ablaze. There are things that can't be explained with words, but I want you to know, I'm no longer silent because someone has spoken first. That someone needed no explanation. Everyone knew it was Wang Yibo. A few days earlier, Wang Yibo had surprisingly responded to the marriage rumors that had rocked social media. What was supposed to be a light-hearted interview suddenly turned into a major headline. When asked about rumors that he had secretly married and that the name associated with him wasn't just anyone, Yibo looked calmly into the camera and said quietly, "The truth isn't always visible on the surface. But I won't deny that there's someone who's always been home in my life." That sentence was enough to ignite a storm. Fans, the media, and even fellow artists were all flabbergasted. Who was he referring to? Someone who's been home? Xiao Zhan's name immediately shot to trending across platforms. And as usual, the internet was divided. Those who believed it and those who rejected it. Some believed it was just a promotional strategy, perhaps for a new project, or simply an exaggerated display of closeness. But others sensed something different. Yibo's tone that night wasn't that of an actor playing a role. It was the tone of someone holding back something he'd always wanted to say, but time and circumstances never allowed. Meanwhile, Xiao Zhan chose to remain silent. During the long silence, thousands of comments flooded his personal account. Some asked for clarification, others made accusations, and many even asked him to protect himself from rumors they deemed damaging. But Xiao Zhan's silence wasn't a sign of weakness. He was like someone preparing his words, not to defend himself, but to speak the truth without losing his dignity. And that night, when he finally wrote, the world held its breath. The long post wasn't an official statement from the agency, nor was it a clarification drafted by the PR team. It was purely the voice of his heart. Sometimes, we don't choose who we feel at peace with. Sometimes, someone comes not to be a couple in front of the world, but to be a light when the world extinguishes you. That one sentence, once again, shocked everyone. Comments poured in like a flood. Is this about Yibo? Are they really together? And someone wrote movingly, "No matter what your relationship is, you've saved each other." No explicit confirmation was needed. The public knew that between those words, there was a delicately wrapped truth, a truth perhaps too fragile to be spoken directly. Because for both of them, it wasn't about defining who was right or wrong. It was about protecting something they held sacred from the harsh spotlight. After that post, the entertainment world was in an uproar. The agency tried to calm the situation with a brief statement that there is no romantic relationship between the two artists, only friendship and professional respect. But the public wasn't easily convinced. There were too many moments, too many glances, too many coincidences that made the word friendship feel too simple. Several journalists even revealed that in recent months, the two had frequently been spotted together, without any public agenda. There were vague photos at the airport, short videos backstage, and even eyewitness accounts of them having dinner together in a very quiet place, away from the spotlight. Was it a coincidence? Or was it something deliberately hidden? But amid all the speculation, the most interesting thing isn't whether they're really together, but why Xiao Zhan chose to speak out now. Many believe this isn't about confirming rumors, but about taking control of his own life narrative. He's been silent for too long, letting others write his story for too long. And now, he wants to write it himself, even at the risk of losing everything. In a radio interview a few days after his post went viral, Xiaojan was asked about the meaning of silence. He simply smiled and replied, "Sometimes, silence is the strongest form of love. But when someone decides to speak, it means they're ready to face the world honestly." The word "someone" echoed again. Again, everyone knew who he was referring to. Interestingly, after the statement went viral, Wang Yibo didn't respond directly. However, at his concert in Chengdu a few days later, he performed a new song, one he'd never sung before. The title was simple, "Silence is Love." And when the final verse rang out, "I'm silent not because I don't care, but because I'm afraid of destroying what we have," the audience wept. Even without the word Xiao Zhan, everyone knew who the song was directed at. Was this a coincidence? Maybe to the world, yes. But to those who have followed these two men's journeys from the beginning, from colleagues to best friends, to two figures who understand each other in silence, this was no coincidence. This was a new chapter in their story that they never planned, but also couldn't avoid. Now, the internet is divided once again. Some call this proof of love in disguise. Others see it as simply a show of emotional solidarity between artists. But whatever the interpretation, one thing is certain. They have both changed the way the public views honesty. That sometimes the truth doesn't have to be said out loud. It just has to be felt. For Xiaojan, perhaps this is a form of courage, speaking without saying everything. And for Wang Yibo, perhaps this is a form of love, understanding without demanding recognition. Two souls walking different paths, but somehow always ending up at the same point. Finally, in his final post of the week, Xiaojan wrote simply, "Thank you for listening, even though I didn't ask to be believed." A sentence that concludes a long, speculative story, but also opens up a space for reflection for all who read it. That behind the spotlight, humans are still humans, with fears, loves, and hopes to be understood. And so it is, my friends. The world may interpret it in its own way, but one thing is undeniable. When two hearts speak in a language only they understand, no amount of clarification can truly silence it. Xiao Zhan has spoken, and perhaps this time the world truly listened.